So you guys go for half an hour? For 45.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. An official welcome aboard the South Simcoe Railway. My name is David, and it's my pleasure to be your passenger rail conductor, as you will take a journey back into Ontario Railway history this afternoon. As we depart the station, I just have a couple of announcements for your personal safety and overall enjoyment of the journey. We do ask, while the train is in motion, to remain in your seats, please. In the event we have to come to a sudden emergency stop, we do not wish you to lose and fall and spoil your festivities for the remainder of today. Please do not throw any garbage or objects out from the train onto the right-of-way or onto the floor. If you have any garbage, make use of the garbage container here at the front of the coach from where you boarded. This helps keep the train clean for passengers who will be joining us later on today. Speaking of clean, we appreciate diligence in keeping feet off the seats at all times, please. Do refrain from any food, snacks, or beverages other than water, again to help keep the train respectable and clean. And lastly, smoking is prohibited while aboard the train. We're going to take a nice leisurely journey up through the Beeton Creek Valley to the town. Beeton, former Canadian Pacific Railway steam locomotive number 136. In June of this year, this locomotive celebrated birthday number 140. This locomotive was built in 1883 by the Rogers Locomotive Works in Paterson, New Jersey. One of the first 6 brand new locomotives ever ordered by the then fledgling Canadian Pacific Railway. On her arrival to Canadian Pacific, she was pressed into work train service to help complete the first transcontinental rail line in Canada throughout northern Ontario. Thereafter, she pulled many small, fast passenger trains until the early 1900s. By then, passenger train, so she was relegated to small branch line services to serve many small rural towns and villages, pulling small local freight trains and passenger trains. In 1950, she was transferred down to Chipman, New Brunswick, to operate on several light rail branch lines there, and did so for another 10 years. finally the end did come in May of 1960, and she was withdrawn from active service after giving 77 continual years of service, making her one of the oldest continually operated steam locomotives by any railway in North America. She was returned to Toronto and performed several main line excursions for the rail enthusiasts, as steam was coming to an end then on the railways, and it was being replaced by more modern diesel-electric locomotives. Now, normally when a steam engine reaches that age and is retired, it often goes to the scrap yard for scrap metal. But 136 escaped that fate as she was privately purchased by an individual, taken to Bolton, Ontario, and put in storage for 12 years. In 1972, we removed the locomotive and shipped it by truck down to the former Canadian Pacific John Street Roundhouse next to Union Station, and she underwent a major refurbishing, for she was about to go before the motion picture cameras. At that time, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation was beginning to produce its 8-hour epic entitled The National Dream, which is the story on the building of the Canadian Pacific Transcontinental Railway. So 136 steam from Toronto, all the way to motion pictures, numerous television specials, and has made 5 appearances on the popular Murdoch Mystery Series on CBC television. Now 136 is a coal-burning engine. We burn hard coal in the big fire to produce the heat, so we can boil the water to make the steam as we go along. And up in the locomotive today, along with my engineer Eric, I have my fireman Andrew. Now Andrew's job as a fireman is to continually shovel the coal from the tender into that hot firebox to generate the heat so we can make steam. By the end of today, Andrew will have shoveled 2.5 tons of coal from that tender into the hot fire, and we will consume 4,000 gallons of water for a grand total of 40 miles of travel. So you think your mileage is bad on your car? You try that one. Now the rail line on which you do take your journey was originally built as the Hamilton and Northwestern Railroad. This line originated out of Port Dover on Lake Erie, went across the top of the Niagara Escarpment, and then down into Hamilton and around the bay and into Burlington. At that point, they had a short line that connected with the Grand Trunk Railway to continue your journey to Toronto. But the main line swung north, came up through Milton, Georgetown, and into the area we call the Caledon Hills. Winding its way through the valley floor, it went through picturesque little towns such as Glen Williams, Terracotta, Belgrave, Inglewood, and arrived here in Tottenham in the late spring of 1878. Pushed north here up through the valley to the town of Beeton, at which point the line split into 2 parts. A northwesterly branch went across country to Alliston, then swung north to end on the shore of Georgian Bay in the town we now call Collingwood. The northeasterly branch went on through Cookstown, Thornton, and ended on the shore of Lake Simcoe in the little farming community called Allendale, which today is basically downtown Barrie. The following year, they pushed the line north all the way to North Bay, its final destination. Now this line was very important for the opening and development of central agricultural Ontario, as well as the town of Collingwood, For at that time, Collingwood was known for its great lights and gates and bells like the big railways do. We protect the road crossings the old-fashioned way by use of what we call a flagman. This is a person with a big red vest and a big red flag, stands out there in the road to signal the cars the train is approaching and to come to a safe stop before the train arrives. At this crossing coming up, our flagman will be on the right-hand side, or the side from which you boarded. So make sure you give him a big friendly wave, hello, or anybody else out there stopped for the train. Most people do wave to the train as we go across the roadway. There you go. Flagman Andy.
Andy!
Our flagman is on the right side. This will be Flagman Chris. To us from the former Toronto, Hamilton, and Buffalo Railway, or the TH&B. A once prosperous railway, the only passenger car to survive from that railway. Our volunteers here spent over 3,000 hours to restore this car to its original mahogany interior, of which all these coaches were constructed at that time. This car is at 80 feet in length and it weighs in at 80 tons. But I see now we begin our descent into a deep, dark, mysterious region we call Okikawaki Swamp. This is a local name that roughly translates to mean mighty big water. And in a couple of minutes, coming down on the right-hand side, we'll get our first glimpse of the mighty Beeton Creek. But we keep our eyes open. Very frequently we will spot some deer in the bush area, a glimpse of some wild turkey that was repopulated to this area. But I think this being Thanksgiving weekend, they've gone into hiding. But contrary to a little 5-year-old boy that was riding on the train with me at this time last year, we're very sorry to disappoint you. We have no lions, tigers, or elephants out here today. But coming up now in just a few seconds, a quick glimpse of the mighty Beeton Creek, 8 to 21. That car was built in 1928 for the Canadian Pacific Railway and is known as a heavyweight day coach for journeys of short duration, as there is no sleeping accommodation, unless if you wanted to sleep in your seat, which was most common in those days. From 1960 to 1972, that car was used in commuter rail service out of Montreal, Quebec, and on its retirement was donated to our organization by Canadian Pacific. That car, too, is at 80 feet in length and weighs in at 80 tons. Now in a couple of minutes you'll go underneath a big bridge, and over the top of you will be going the Canadian Pacific Railway. This is the main line of Canadian Pacific, running from Toronto all the way out to Vancouver, British Columbia. The railway completed the first transcontinental railway across Canada, and it was completed in November of 1885 2 years after 136 was constructed. But once again, here is the mighty Beeton Creek. It comes very close to the train here, and we'll begin to go underneath that CPR railway bridge. But I now welcome you to an area we call Turtle Flats. It is called that because we have some of our large green snapping turtles that off the train here, get off and physically remove the turtles from the track before we can proceed. Coming down on the right side once again is the Beeton Creek. Along this stretch we keep our eyes open on the embankments to see if we might be able to find Fred. Fred is the name we've given to the largest of all the turtles, but our bridge spans what we call the mighty Beeton Gorge. The spectacular sight is not well known, as you can only view it while you are riding on the train. But as we now approach, I have to give you a fair word of warning. You have the slightest fear of heights? Don't look down. Ta-da! That was it. That is the mighty Beeton Gorge. Well, we're now climbing up a steep hill, so 136 is working hard to get our 250 tons of train. Long before we had the road system and highways we take for granted today, back in the late 1800s, the only way to travel any significant distance in comfort and in all kinds of weather was to take the train. So most people in these little villages tend to stay home, as traveling between towns and villages was quite difficult in those days. But now with the railway, they can more freely move about, travel greater distance, visit friends and relatives much more easily. Manufactured goods could be more easily brought out of the city for distribution to the countryside. Farmers could more easily ship their produce down to the bigger markets in the city. The Royal Mail would be aboard a train for dropping off at all the little stations on the line. This is downtown nowhere, as you can obviously have a look around and see. But unfortunately, we do not escape the urban sprawl that is happening. There's a big 300 townhouse complex going here beside the field on us. So we'll be going through some people's backyards by this time next year. Now, when you had a look around, it's hard to believe that the population here is 152. But that will change to zero as our train leaves. Fireman gets his fire ready for the southbound journey, and then I'll give my engineer his permission to head back south. Now, as we go south, it's uphill all the way back to Tottenham. So 130 works hard. Smoke, soot, and ash comes out of the smokestack and drifts over the train. So we do recommend, if you have your windows open, keep your heads inside, because that soot and cinder has a nasty habit of getting into the eyeball, and it can hurt quite badly. We do not wish that, so we recommend to keep your heads inside your windows for the journey south. We'll be heading south in just a few moments, at which time I will come back to you. Work to make this train happen. This is all done through volunteers. The South Simcoe Railway is an all volunteer owned, operated and maintained railway. All aspects of maintaining this full-fledged railway, which we are, from the maintenance of our track and right-of-way, our coaches, our locomotives, our building, our train crews that operate our train, and up to and including our board of directors. Every person you see here today volunteers their time at the railway. We're a small group dedicated to trying to keep our very important railway history active and alive, and to have this train for your enjoyment on a day like today. So in just a few moments we'll be going over the mighty Beeton Gorge one last time. So if you blinked and missed it, you're on the way up, your last opportunity to see this site. After we cross the bridge, please do get out your tickets, have them available for me. My trainman Chris here and I will be through the train to validate your tickets and answer any questions.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. Oh, great. Thank you. Hello. Thank you.
It was fantastic.
Oh, thank you very much. There you go. Enjoy now. Bye.
Please look around, make sure you have all your personal belongings with you. For being the small railway we are, we literally do not have the finances or the manpower for a lost and found department. We work in a very simple principle. You lost it, we find it, we keep it. And at the end of the day, Fitbits, smartwatches, smartphones, and the like, we put in a box and we have a draw to see what our train crew can take home with us at the end of the day. But if you have any ideas about that, we do not accept the in-laws. If you brought the in-laws with you, you must take the outlaws home with you. We have our own. Thank you very much. Now we are operating again tomorrow, Monday, and the next 2 weekends, and that will bring to a close our 31st season of operations here at Tottenham. We do hope to resume operations next year at Easter when we present the very popular Easter Express to Moneyland, as we say, aka nowhere. So do keep your eyes open on our website next spring when we will post our operating schedule for next year. So we take this opportunity to wish you and your family the very best of this holiday weekend and a joyous, happy Thanksgiving weekend. And perhaps we'll see you back aboard the South Simcoe Railway someday soon. So until we meet again, take care of each other. So long, everybody. Thank you.
Sorry about the whining, folks.
All right, take care. Have a good afternoon.
We're gonna go in front of you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you
You're
so much.
most welcome. Bye now.